Before we start, just a quick reminder to hit that subscribe button. Only 2% are subscribed at 1,000 subscribers. I'll be posting a special video. My son slapped two backpacks into my hands and kept walking. My name is Mark, 61, and I still chased him anyway. He did not look back once, and that scared me. You know that feeling when your stomach drops for no reason? Dad, I need you to be cool. His jaw worked hard. He tugged his keys from his pocket like a shield. The kid stood behind me, blinking, waiting for instructions. I wanted to ask why, but he was already moving fast. I stepped in front of his truck door and held up a palm. "Where are you going right now?" My voice cracked. He tried to smile like we were joking at a cookout. Then he leaned closer like a stranger with a secret. "Don't make this a thing." He pushed past my arm. I grabbed his sleeve and he flinched like I burned him. That flinch hit me worse than any shouting could. I let go because I hated what I saw in myself. My grandson whispered my name, small and shaky. My granddaughter rubbed her eyes with both fists. I turned around and their faces looked like blame. I turned back and my son's door was already open. He tossed a duffel onto the passenger seat and climbed in. I leaned in through the window and blocked the ignition. "Talk to me like a person." My hand shook on the frame. He stared at my fingers like they were handcuffs. He slid my hand away with two quick taps. Not violent, not gentle, just done. "Listen, I met someone." He glanced at his phone. His screen lit up and his whole face changed. I heard myself laugh, sharp and wrong. "Since when do you ditch your kids for a date?" He flared up, eyes wide, like I insulted him first. That was the moment I knew he practiced this speech. "She's not a date." He pointed the phone at me. A woman's name filled the screen, plus a heart emoji. He snatched it back before I could read more. The kids leaned closer like they recognized the pattern. I tried to keep my voice level, but it came out thin. "You're leaving them here without asking their mom." He rolled his eyes like I was being dramatic. He always did that when he felt cornered. "Claire will be fine." He waved one hand. That hand was the one he used to hold babies with. He shifted in the seat, already impatient. My brain kept screaming that I should yank the keys. I didn't, I know. I could tell you I froze from shock. I could tell you I wanted to keep it calm. Truth is, I was scared he would hate me forever. He started the engine and the sound felt like a slap. My granddaughter clutched the backpack strap until her knuckles went pale. I stepped back because I did not trust myself. He saw that step and took it as permission. Just for a little while, he lifted two fingers. Like he was ordering fries, not dumping lives. "Keep them busy, no calls to Claire." That last part landed like a threat. I leaned forward again, more desperate than proud. "Don't you dare tell me what to do." He smirked, then it flickered, then it was gone. That flicker was guilt, and it did not stay long. His phone buzzed and he checked it instantly. His shoulders loosened like someone stroked his hair. He mouthed a word I could not hear through glass. Then he smiled at the screen, not at his kids. My grandson asked, "Are we going to mommy later?" I swallowed because I did not know the answer. My son heard him and flinched again, quick and ugly. He kept his eyes forward like the boy wasn't there. "Stop talking like that." His voice snapped out the window. "Not at me, at the kid." I felt heat rush into my face, pure shame. I should have yelled, but my throat locked down. "Get inside with Grandpa," my son ordered. He pointed at my front door without looking. I saw my grandson's lip tremble, then he obeyed. That obedience made me furious, and it made me sadder. I moved to the driver's side, trying one last block. "Tell me her name." My hands were open, begging. He shrugged like names were boring details. That shrug was new, and I hated it. "You wouldn't get it." He tilted his head. "I'm done living for everyone else." He said it like he read it online. I could almost hear the comments cheering him on. I wanted to shout that kids are not everyone else. I wanted to remind him he chose them first. Instead, I asked, "What about your job?" He laughed like I asked about a lawn mower. "I'll handle it." He tapped the steering wheel twice. Then he leaned back, calmer now, too calm. "You always make things worse." That line slid under my skin and stayed there. My grandson stepped back onto the porch behind me. He held a toy in his fist, squeezed tight. He asked, "Is Dad mad at us?" My son heard that and stared straight ahead. I moved closer to the window, lower now. "Look at your boy," my voice went rough. My son's eyes flicked to the porch for half a second. In that second, I saw him choose not to feel. He lifted his hand and kissed his fingers. Then he flicked that kiss toward the kids like a tip. "Love you," it sounded rehearsed. Almost lazy. My grandson's shoulders dropped like he got punched. The truck rolled, slow at first, then sure. I walked with it, stupid, stubborn, hopeful. My slippers scraped the driveway and I did not care. He did not slow down, not even a little. I hit the side of the truck once with my palm. Not hard, just enough to feel real. He jerked his head, eyes flashing for a breath. Then he looked past me like I was air. The tires crossed the curb and he was gone. No promise of when, no plan, no apology. I stood there with two kids behind me, both silent. And my phone stayed in my pocket like a coward. I ripped open the fridge and realized I had no plan. The kids hovered at my knees like I was a referee. "Can we eat now?" My grandson kept tapping my leg. My granddaughter just watched me, too quiet for comfort. I poured cereal into bowls and pretended it was normal. They ate fast, like food might disappear any second. I tried a joke and it landed like a rock. My grandson glanced at the door, waiting for footsteps. I pulled my phone out and dialed my son again. Straight to voicemail like I was some spam caller. I left one message, then deleted it mid-sentence. My thumb hovered because I already felt stupid. I texted anyway, short and polite like a stranger. "Where are you? When are you coming back?" Three dots never appeared, just silence in that tiny clock icon. That little icon started to feel like a threat. I almost called Claire right then and I didn't. Yeah, I know how that sounds now. He told me not to call her and I listened. I told myself I was keeping the peace for now. My granddaughter asked for her toothbrush and I froze. I rummaged through her bag and found nothing helpful. She stared at me with wet eyes, then looked away. That look made my chest tighten hard and fast. I ran to the store and left them with a neighbor. I hated doing that, but I had to move. In the aisle, I kept checking my phone like an addict. No new message, just my own shaky breathing. Back home, my grandson tripped and smacked his knee. He screamed like the world ended right there. I scooped him up, then realized he was shaking. "Is Dad mad at us?" came out between sobs. I said no, too quickly, too loud. He studied my face like he could read my lies. My granddaughter grabbed my sleeve and whispered, "Promise." I nodded and my mouth tasted like metal. Bedtime hit like a wall and nobody wanted it. My grandson refused pajamas, then demanded his dad's hoodie. My granddaughter clutched her blanket and kept listening to nothing. The house felt loud even when nobody spoke. I tried calling my son again, then again. This time the voicemail greeting sounded cheerful, which was worse. I hung up and stared at the screen until it dimmed. I felt like I was begging a ghost. The kids finally settled, but I didn't relax. I walked the hallway, checking, adjusting, second-guessing myself. I kept thinking he would appear and laugh at my panic. Instead, I heard my own footsteps, and they sounded angry. Close to midnight, my phone lit up with Claire's name. My stomach clenched because this was the call I dodged. I let it ring once, then twice, then answered. "Where are they?" Her voice came in sharp and controlled. I swallowed and tried to sound casual, which was a joke. "They're here, they're fine." I hated myself immediately. A pause stretched, then her breath hit the speaker like steam. "Why didn't you call me?" she asked, and I had nothing. I told her he had a situation, and I heard how weak it was. She didn't yell, and that scared me more. "Put them on," the demand cut straight through my excuses. I stared down the dark hallway, wishing I could rewind time. Claire's car stopped hard outside my place before sunrise. I opened the door and she marched in without hesitating. Her eyes went straight past me, hunting for the kids. I felt my face tighten because I deserved it. "Where are they?" Her words came out flat and deadly. I lifted a hand toward the hallway and tried to breathe. She brushed past my shoulder like I was furniture. That move told me she was done being polite. The kids peeked out and Claire dropped to her knees fast. She pulled them close, then checked their faces like a nurse. My grandson clung to her shirt and started shaking again. My granddaughter hid behind her, watching me like a judge. Claire stood and faced me with her arms still around them. You knew he did this, her finger jabbed the air once. I wanted to deny it and my mouth opened on instinct. Nothing came out because she was right. I tried a softer angle like that would save me. I didn't think it would stretch this long, my voice sounded weak. Claire stared at my phone on the counter like it insulted her. Give it to me, she snapped and I obeyed. She scrolled through my missed calls and made a sound of disgust. Not loud, just sharp like a knife on glass. She shoved the phone back. ND rubbed her forehead. I'm calling him now, she warned, and her thumb hovered. I blurted, he told me not to contact you. The second it left my mouth, I hated myself again. Claire's eyebrows jumped, then her face went still. Of course he did, she muttered, and that scared me more. She called him on speaker right there in my kitchen. The line rang, then cut off, then rang again. No greeting came, just a beep and dead air. Claire ended the call and looked at me like I was complicit. Does he have another number? She kept her voice low. I shook my head and felt sweat start under my collar. She pulled out her own phone and tapped fast, jaw tight. I heard her whisper, watch this, like she'd done it before. While she typed, my grandson tugged my sleeve. Are we staying here forever? His eyes were too wide. I knelt and tried to smile, but it didn't work. Claire watched us and her gaze sharpened. Pack their things, Claire pointed toward the hallway. I hesitated because I hated being ordered in my own home. Then my granddaughter flinched at my pause and I moved. That flinch shoved me forward like a shove. I stuffed clothes into a bag and kept glancing at my phone. I expected it to light up with his name any second. It stayed dark like he'd cut the cord on purpose. My hands started shaking and I dropped a sock on the floor. Claire walked in and saw the mess I was making. She didn't laugh and somehow that felt worse. Stop rushing, her voice softened then hardened again. Rushing is how he wins, she added, and I froze. My phone finally buzzed and the sound punched the room. Claire snatched it off the counter before I could blink. A single text sat there, short and smug. Claire's mouth twisted because the words were meant for me. Keep them a bit, Kara and I need space. Claire read it out loud, slow like courtroom evidence. I felt heat crawl up my neck and into my ears. Space from what? The kids who begged for him every hour. Claire typed back without asking me once. Where are you? Bring the kids back now. She hit send and stared at the screen, unblinking. The dots never showed and her silence turned heavy. I tried to defend him because I'm that guy, apparently. Maybe he's overwhelmed, my voice sounded fake even to me. Claire snapped her head toward me and her eyes flashed. Overwhelmed is not abandonment, she said, and I shrank. She started asking questions that made my stomach churn. Did he take their cards? Did he move money? Did he threaten you? I kept answering with I don't know, and it felt pathetic. Claire's lips pressed into a thin line like she was counting lies. She walked to the window and scanned the street again. Then she turned back and grabbed her keys with a sharp motion. We're going to my place, her voice left no room. The kids looked at me, waiting for permission I didn't have. I followed them to the car like a man in trouble. Claire strapped them in with quick hands and no wasted words. My grandson kept twisting around to look at my house. My granddaughter stared straight ahead and that scared me most. Claire got in the driver's seat and didn't start the engine. She held my phone up between us like a warning sign. If he calls, you pick up, her eyes didn't blink once. Then she added, and you stop protecting him like a dare. I nodded, even though part of me wanted to argue. Sincerely, I thought I was being helpful at first. Now I saw how I kept handing him cover piece by piece. Claire started the car and my phone stayed silent in my lap. My phone jolted against my palm at 6 a.m. An unknown number flashed, then disappeared, then flashed again. I answered on the second ring because my nerves were raw. A woman whispered my son's name like it burned her tongue. Is this his dad? Her words came out clipped and shaky. I looked at Claire across the table and mouthed Kara. Claire's eyes narrowed and she leaned in without breathing. I put the call on speaker and my pulse sped up. I'm not trying to start drama, Kara swallowed hard. I just need to know where he is. Claire lifted one finger, warning me to stay quiet. I stayed quiet, but my jaw kept tightening. Kara kept talking like she was running out of air. He told me you had the kids for a bit. My stomach turned because she said it so casually. Like the kids were luggage he checked at my house. Claire snapped, do you know where he went? Kara paused, then whispered, I thought he came to you. I watched Claire's mouth flatten into a line. That pause felt like the start of something ugly. I tried a calm voice and it came out wrong. He hasn't contacted us. Kara made a small sound, half laugh, half panic. Of course, she muttered, and my skin prickled. Claire took the phone from my hand, careful and steady. Kara, you called from his number. Kara answered fast, like she expected that question. He left it on the counter when he ran. Oh. To you, she said. I leaned closer because ran out had weight. Claire asked, why did he run? Kara hesitated, then rushed the next part. Something happened with money, she said, and my throat went dry. Claire didn't soften, not even a little. What kind of money? Her tone was a blade. Kara let out a long breath, then started again. He said he needed help, she admitted, and her voice shook. Kara told us he showed up late, eyes bright, hands busy. He talked fast about fixing things and starting fresh. She believed him because he sounded so sure. You know that confidence that feels like truth until it does. Claire asked, did you give him cash? Kara's answer came with a tiny sob she tried to hide. I let him use my card for gas. Then her voice dropped like she hated herself for it. I expected a small mistake, something you can laugh off later. Kara kept going and the pit in my chest widened. He promised he would pay it back by morning. Morning came and her account was almost empty. Claire squeezed her eyes shut, then opened them hard. How much did he take? Kara named a number and my head started buzzing. It was rent money and she sounded terrified to say it. I grabbed my notepad like writing could fix anything. Claire snapped her fingers at me, then pointed to my phone. Check your messages, she ordered, and I did it fast. Nothing new from him, which felt like an answer. Kara tried to defend him and that made me flinch. He isn't a monster, her voice cracked on monster. Claire stared at the speaker like it had insulted her. You don't leave kids behind if you're decent, she shot back. Kara went quiet, then spoke softer, almost pleading. He told me he was trying to get custody. Claire laughed once, sharp and humorless. By stealing, she snapped, and I winced. Kara whispered, he said his dad would understand. That line hit me straight in the teeth. I stared at the wall because Claire was watching me now. I wanted to disappear and I could. Claire leaned closer to the phone, voice low and controlled. Kara, did he take anything else? Kara swallowed, then answered like she feared the truth. He grabbed my checkbook too, she said, and my hands went cold. I stood up so fast my chair scraped the floor. Claire shot me a look that said sit down or explode. I sat, but my leg wouldn't stop bouncing. A checkbook meant planning, not impulse. Kara rushed into details, then caught herself and stopped. He also took a folder from my desk. Claire asked what was in it. Kara hesitated, then whispered, my personal papers, like she felt exposed. Claire covered the phone and looked at me, eyes blazing. He's escalating, the words came out tight and sure. I hated how quickly I believed her. Because part of me already knew she was right. Claire uncovered the phone and spoke like a prosecutor. Kara, did he say where he was going next? Kara's voice turned small again, almost childlike. He mentioned a friend with a trailer, she said, then stopped short. I asked, did he say a name? Kara breathed out, then gave a first name only. It meant nothing to me, and that helplessness made me furious. Claire's eyes flicked to my keys like she had a plan. Claire told Kara to file a report, then to freeze accounts. Kara mumbled okay, like she was still in shock. Then she blurted, is he with you right now? Her fear came through the speaker, thick and immediate. No, Claire's answer was blunt, almost cruel. Kara made a broken sound, then whispered, he used me. I wanted to say I'm sorry, but it felt cheap. Because he used me too, and I let it happen. Kara asked one last thing, and her voice turned bitter. Did he ever talk about the kids like people? I opened my mouth, then shut it again. Silence was my answer, and it tasted awful. Kara ended the call without a goodbye, just a click. Claire stared at my phone like it was evidence in a trial. Then she looked at me and her voice dropped low. We're not waiting anymore, she said, and my stomach sank. I tried to protest because that's my bad habit. Maybe we should give him one more day. Claire slammed her palm on the table, eyes hard. One more day for what, she asked, and I had nothing. Claire grabbed a pen and started listing steps like a drill sergeant. Protect the kids, document everything, stop answering him with kindness. I nodded along, pretending I was ready for that shift. Then my phone buzzed again and my heart jumped. A text popped up from my son's number, short and smug. It wasn't an apology and it wasn't a plan. It was a warning that made Claire's face tighten. Stay out of my life, it read, and I knew this was just starting. Someone slammed my front door hard enough to rattle the frame. I snapped awake and sat up, heart hammering. The pounding came again, faster, meaner, like a countdown. Then I heard his voice through the wood, too familiar. Open up, th. Words sounded thick, almost drunk. I didn't answer, I didn't move. I just stared at the dark hallway and listened for the kids. A floorboard creaked upstairs and my skin went tight. I grabbed my phone and tapped 911 with shaking fingers. My thumb hovered over call because shame is stupid that way. You know that second where you still hope it's not real. He kicked the door once and that hope died. Claire had made me keep the chain on, so I did. I flicked the porch light and peeked through the side window. There he was, hair messy, eyes bright, jaw working. He looked like a man who already decided you owe him. He spotted me and lifted his hands like I was the problem. Dad, don't do this, his voice turned soft, almost sweet. That switch made my teeth grind because I knew that trick. He leaned close to the door like he could charm the lock. I cracked it an inch, chain stretched tight between us. What do you want? My voice came out low and flat. He smiled, then frowned, then smiled again. I need a little help, he murmured and waited. I didn't ask how much, I already knew it was more. He pushed his shoulder into the gap and tested the chain. You're scared of your own son now, his lips curled. Then he added, you told Claire everything, like a curse. I felt my face heat and I hated that he noticed. Step back, my hand stayed on the door edge. He stared at my fingers, then at my eyes. You chose her, he said, and the word her dripped poison. I tried to keep it simple because simple is safer. I chose the kids, my throat tightened on kids. He laughed short and sharp like I told a joke. Those aren't your kids, he snapped, and something in me snapped too. I pushed the door shut, chain still on, breath shaking. He slapped the wood again, palm flat, fast rhythm. Stop acting righteous, his voice rose then dropped low. Just give me cash and I disappear, he promised, like that was peace. Upstairs, my grandson called my name, half asleep. I shouted back, stay in bed, trying not to sound scared. My son heard the kid's voice and his eyes flashed. He leaned into the door and hissed, don't involve them, like I did. My phone vibrated with a text from an unknown number. One line popped up and my hands went cold. It was a photo of Kara's checkbook, open on a kitchen counter. Under it, one message, tell your dad to stop, like I was his messenger. I held the screen up through the crack, right in his face. Did you steal from her too? My voice shook anyway. His expression didn't deny it, it just measured my reaction. Borrowed, he corrected like that mattered. He tapped his chest with one finger, wounded performance again. She offered, she believed in me, he forced a small smile. And then she freaked out, he added, eyes narrowing. That's when I understood he could do this to anyone. Where is she now? I kept my gaze locked on him. He shrugged, too easy, too practiced. She's blocked me, she's dramatic, he rolled his eyes. Then he leaned closer and whispered, you're next, like a dare. My hand trembled over the 911 button, then I pressed it. The operator's voice filled my ear, steady and calm. My son saw the shift in my posture and stiffened. His smile dropped like a mask hitting the floor. You called cops on me, his voice cracked with outrage. He stepped back, then stepped forward again, undecided. For a second, he looked like a kid caught stealing. Then his face hardened and he aimed that anger at the chain. He yanked on it once, hard, testing metal with raw force. The door jolted and my shoulders slammed into the frame. I gritted my teeth and pushed back with my whole weight. He stared at me, breathing heavy, like he wanted to win. Sirens wailed somewhere far, then closer, then close. My son heard them and his eyes darted left and right. He wiped his nose with his sleeve and spat on the porch. Fine, he muttered, but he didn't leave. Two officers stepped up, hands near their belts. My son lifted both palms and smiled like a saint. Big misunderstanding, he nodded toward me, rehearsed and smooth. One officer looked at the chain, then at my shaking hands. I opened the door enough to speak, still chained. My grandkids are upstairs, my voice sounded rough. He won't leave, I swallowed, then added, he took money too. My son's smile twitched and I saw panic leak through. The officers separated us with their bodies and calm voices. My son tried to talk over them, fast words, blame everywhere. He pointed at me, then at the street, then at nothing. The officer asked him to sit and he refused loudly. Dad, tell them, his eyes locked on mine, begging and furious. Tell them you're overreacting, he shook his head like I betrayed him. I stood there and felt that old reflex surge up. Then I pictured my grandson's face and the reflex died. I'm not covering anymore, the words came out steady somehow. My son's mouth opened. Ned then closed, then opened again. For a heartbeat he looked stunned, like I stole his script. Then he surged forward and the officer grabbed his arm. He jerked away and shouted, "This is my house too." The officer told him to stop, voice firm, no drama. My son kept pulling, eyes wild, until the cuffs clicked. That sound was tiny and it ended something inside me. After they drove him off, the porch felt too quiet. Claire called right then, like she sensed the shift. I told her what happened, short phrases, no hero talk. She exhaled once and said, "Good," like she'd been waiting. The next morning I walked into court with a folder in my hand. My legs felt heavy but my steps didn't slow. Claire stood beside me, jaw tight, eyes clear. The clerk slid papers forward and the pen felt like a weapon. I signed my name and watched the ink dry. My hand shook once, then steadied on the next line. Claire signed too and her shoulders dropped a fraction. It wasn't victory, it was a door locking. My phone lit up again that night with a blocked number. I didn't answer, I didn't even flinch this time. A voicemail came through anyway, his voice thin and sharp. "You'll regret this," he promised, and I believed he meant it.